It's great to be home in Goshen, New York. My name is Lee Karchawer, and that's me, 25 years ago, right outside this building. I remember sitting in one of those seats when the Parent-Teacher Association was doing a fundraiser for the holidays, and they invited a gentleman from Gertrude Hawk Chocolate to come inspire us to sell their chocolate candies. And how did he inspire us? Well, he wheeled out a brand new, shiny, two-wheeler Schwinn bicycle. And I looked around the auditorium at all of my competition, and I knew that person was going to be me. And I know you think that right now I'm going to tell you a story about how I won that bicycle. Unfortunately, I watched as another student rode off with my bike. And all I was left with was 43 boxes of Gertrude Hawk chocolate that I sold to my parents. Brings me to another contest that I entered, this time as an adult, in my late 20s, living in New York City. It was run by Qdoba, a fast food Mexican restaurant. And they were advertising a grand prize of a brand new Apple iPad 2 and a year's supply of free burritos. Intrigued, I read through the contest rules. It said, print this cue and take a photo with it anywhere you can think of. Be creative, fun, unique for your chance to win the grand prize. So, what would happen next was over the course of 9 weeks, people would upload their photos to the Qdoba Facebook page, and a Qdoba rep would choose their favorite photos each week. And in the final week, they would select from the 9 winners the grand prize finalist. So I did what any reasonably minded person would do at that moment. I put together a business plan on how I was going to win the contest. And I realized if I could win the photo contest each of the 9 weeks, in the final week for the grand prize, I would only be competing against myself. So I recruited some friends and came up with a number of different photo idea creations, and this is one of my favorites. This is a stage scene outside of a Qdoba competitor, Chipotle, where a friend of mine was walking out with his order and me, standing there holding a sign that read, "This guy needs to get a Q." And week after week, I submitted one photo after the next. And at the end, 6 out of the 9 weeks, my photo was chosen. So now I'm competing only against 3 other people. And the way the final round would work is whoever got the most likes on their photo would have their shot at the grand prize. And well, 3,145 likes later, I won. And what popped into my mind at that moment was this. There I was, swimming with my free burritos and holding my brand new Apple iPad 2. I felt great. And I wanted to thank everyone. I had a lot of friends and family and social media supporters that helped me get to those 3,000 likes, and decided to throw a party. And where else? Qdoba. Burritos on me. So we went out, we celebrated, we had a great time, and that evening, December 21st, 2011, I went home and I turned on the TV. And a story comes on about an anonymous person who had went into a Kmart store and paid $25,000 worth of layaway items with gifts for kids right before Christmas. The first thing I asked myself is, what is layaway? So I went and researched it, and layaway is a way to pay for items, but instead of taking them home with you right from the store will hold the items for you until you're able to make all the payments off, and when you make that final payment, it's then you can bring the items home. And for many families during the holidays and before Christmas, this is a very popular way to pay for gifts. How amazing was that act of kindness from that anonymous person? Here I was, spending week after week trying to win a contest, and now I'm watching a story of someone doing a complete selfless act. And it was in this moment that some would say I had my aha moment. I had just spent 2.5 months recruiting friends, coming up with photo ideas, all so I could win myself an iPad and a year's supply of burritos. And I was inspired by this anonymous person. And at first I wanted to have $25,000, but I didn't, to go into a store and do something so generous. But then it hit me. If I can get 3,145 people to like a photo, perhaps I can channel that into something and give back to my community and help others. And just like that, Pay Away the Layaway was born. I bought the website, I built it myself. It was very simple. I made a logo in Microsoft Word. I found a picture of a boy playing with a toy truck and threw up a PayPal donate button. And in the few days before Christmas, I was able to raise just over $1,000. I threw on a Santa Claus hat. I jumped on the 6 train up to a Kmart store in the Bronx and walked in and paid off layaways for families right before Christmas. And I made a pledge that day in the store that I would do this every year. I would work with friends and family to raise money, and on their behalf, go into the store and pay off layaways. But I wasn't ready for what would happen next. On a Friday afternoon in November of 2013, just 2 years later, I got an email from a writer at NBC News. And he told me he had found my website. To this day, I have no idea how he found my website. But he did, and he wanted to talk with me about my experience as a layaway angel. So we jumped on the phone, and we spoke, and I shared my experiences and what it meant to me to be able to do this every year. And just a few days later, there it was. I went to NBCnews.com, and on the front page was a story about layaway Santas. And he linked to my website in the article. And you know it, 24 hours after the article came out, I had over $25,000 in donations. And that year on Christmas Eve, I went down with my parents. We drove down to South Jersey to go to a Kmart store where we were going to call families. We spent 4 hours there, calling families, letting them know that they can come down to the store, and in time for Christmas, they'd be able to pick up their items. Many of them had mentioned that they would not have been able to get the items had we not done that. And it was at this moment in the store there with my parents that I believed that this organization and Pay Away the Layaway had peaked. And then this happened. Tim Tebow came into my life. And Good Morning America had called and said, we'd like to do a Layaway Live surprise and team up with your organization. And Tim Tebow was going to be the on-air correspondent surprising families at the store. Now Pay Away the Layaway is on the national spotlight. And it was amazing. Ben, the writer from NBC News, said, we'd like to do a follow-up story on NBCnews.com again. And this time he said, I'd like to go with you to a store and actually experience what it's like to be a layaway angel. So Ben came with us with a team of volunteers, and I met this woman. I had shared the news that we would be paying off everyone's layaway on behalf of all the people that make donations, $5, $10, $20. And Stacy, a teacher from the Bronx, had shared that she had just lost everything in a house fire. And fighting tears, we embraced. And it was in this moment that I realized the power of what we were doing, the power of giving and the power of kindness. And after that, I started getting calls and emails, friends from Goshen, people I didn't even know that were emailing us through the website that said, how can I bring this to my local community? We want to get involved as well. And we ended up on the Today Show. And then next thing you know it, NBA, NFL players, professional athletes started asking, how can we get involved? Olympians, celebrities, reality TV stars, all wanted to be a part of this experience and experience the power of giving. And then we decided, let's take the organization to the next level. And we went out and we found Army exchange stores as well as Navy exchange stores where we'd be able to pay off layaway balances for military families who do so much for us. And we expanded beyond our U.S. borders. We went into Guam and Germany and other places I've never even been, where we surprised families on those military stations. And then the most magical thing happened this past holiday season. I received a call from the same producer from the Good Morning America segment that said, and who told me, we'd like to do an even bigger partnership with you. We want to do a fundraiser over 3 days before Christmas where we would be promoting your organization and asking our viewers to contribute. And in just 3 days before Christmas, we raised over $325,000 from 3,000 supporters all over the country. And that culminated in a big on-air surprise on the final day where we went into an Army and Air Force exchange store in Kentucky, and we surprised hundreds of military families and let them know that we'd be paying off their layaway balances. And then I received an email through our website from a former Marine who had went into a store to tell the associate that he'd like to make the final payment on his layaway. The associate shared with him that our organization had paid off his layaway. He was there to pick up a bicycle for his son. And I always get a smile when I know that our organization had paid off a bicycle for a student or a child. And I know that spring is right around the corner. Thank you. Thank you.